wget by using the man program itself. So this is a network downloader. This is a pretty powerful program that can get you in big trouble if you are not careful with the options you're providing to the program. You can download, for example, the entire contents of CNN.com by providing the wrong options to wget program. So there is one program you want to be very careful, because the program actually will act as a web crawler, essentially going down each possible link that may be on a page and try to grab things that are located at those links, which is what we are going to do here, but we're going to do it in a very targeted fashion. So I'm going to say that I want to wget a file from this URL, and instead of typing this in, I'm going to be lazy. I'm going to switch back to my course resource page, and I'm just going to right click on the file name here and copy the link location this time. So it gives me the full qualified link location. And then I'll come back to my shell window here, and I can right click and paste, or you can go edit, paste, basically the same thing. So you can see that we're telling the wget program to go to this web location and grab a copy of this file. So by doing this, you can see that a copy of this file was automatically saved in my local directory. And I can see that the file is indeed there. Let's check on our BLAST jobs. Still pending. When your jobs are pending like this, don't mess with them, because if you delete them and resubmit, you're going to sort of get back at the end of the line. So the best thing is to just let them be. They'll finish whenever they run, essentially. So that was just getting one file, but at times you want to grab a whole bunch of different files, for example, from a web location. And here I have a number of files that start with .fa. What I'm doing in this command line is I'm telling the wget program that I want to grab more than one file, so that it's recursive. I'm not going to specifically discuss what these next options mean. If you're curious enough, man is your friend. I'm going to say that, as you know, every web page has an index.html, which is sort of the root file which defines the web page. So what I'm saying next is I don't want to download a copy of that index file. So I'm asking the wget program to reject the index.anything files, and I'm only asking it to accept files which end with a .fa extension. So I want to get all the files at this web location that have a .fa extension, meaning those are the sequence files that I'm interested in downloading a local copy of. So let's see how that works. So just type what I have here on the slide. So wget-r space, all the options that you generally provide to a Unix command are going to be separated by one space at least. You can have more than one space. A lot of the times, though, extra spaces would be ignored. NH capital. So these options actually mean something very specific. I'm asking it not to bring down any header files. Reject any files that are called index anything. Only accept files. So you can see that this is a slightly complicated command line, but instead of having to download 5 FA files to our local desktop and bringing them over, or using 5 separate wget commands for each of those links, I am able to download all the files that end in .fa by using this single command line here. And since I have the link copied, I'll paste it, but I will actually remove the specific file name because now I want all the files at that web link that end in .fa. So when I run this, you can see that it ran pretty fast, and if it worked right, we should have several .fa files in this directory. Does everyone have a number of .fa files in your directory? It's cool, right? I mean, just with single command, you were able to download a whole bunch of files. So the robot.txt, that's a file that generally is present on servers to prevent Google, for example, from indexing pages automatically. We don't need the robots.txt file. You can just do remove it. So remember our command for removing files, rm. If you don't provide on -f, I think all of you had bash shell, so it might just delete the file anyway. In my case, since I'm using PC shell, it actually is going to ask me if I want to delete that file. I'm going to say yes. Let's check on our blood jobs. Still pending. So it looks like we are probably not going to be able to actually run and have our BLAST program produce some output. But we'll go ahead and still learn how to submit the BLAST jobs anyway. So back to my slides and the BLAST jobs. So this is something you're just going to have to learn over time what options are required for running a particular program. You're always going to submit through LSF, so bsub is always going to be the command that starts for all of your new jobs on the KDevil cluster. In this instance, I know that I'm running a blast search against the entire nucleotide database, and that's something that's not going to fit within 4 gigabytes of memory. And that's the reason I'm specifying explicitly that I want the system to allocate at least 10 gigabytes of RAM for this particular job. So this is how I'm specifying to the system that when you run the job, give me 10 gigabytes of RAM. By default, remember, you're going to get 4 gigabytes. So here I'm asking for 10. I'm going to run the BLAST program. So this is the BLAST N program that I'm running. My query file, and this time BLAST N expects you to explicitly say -query for the file that you're using as your query file. So -query followed by the file name is telling BLAST N that this is the file I want to use as the query. -db obviously is for database. So my database files, this is where the relative file paths that you have learned come into play. I am in netscratch onion directory, but I'm specifying a specific system path where the nucleotide index files are present for the database. The BLAST-N program has to run a BLAST-N search, so that's what I'm specifying by a -task BLAST-N. As you remember through your web BLAST searches, you can specify the number of alignments you see by default. There is, I believe it shows you 100 by default, but in this case, I'm cutting those down to 2. You can always specify a different number here. So these are again possible options you're providing for BLAST-N. So I want to see only 2 alignments, but I do want to see at least 10 hits. You may have 500 hits, but if I only specify num descriptions as 10, it's going to only show me the top 10 hits, and out of those top 10 hits, it's only going to show me the alignments for 2. So that's what I'm specifying explicitly on my command line. I want the output to be formatted in HTML, so you have the nice clickable links that you can use for navigating going back to NCBI. So the -html tells BLAST-N program to format the output as HTML, and the -out, which we've already used, I'm going to use a out.html as the file name. You can use whatever file name you want. So this is a reasonable set of options you may end up using for BLAST searches. As we've already looked at, BLAST takes several commands, command line options. All or some may be required. So this is something you will sort of want to dive into if you are doing this, on a fairly regular basis. So let's go ahead and type this in. Probably not